Oh, what's up, horror fam? You know what time it is. Let's get into this. I guess we're getting into it.
We're getting right into it, guys.
All right, so we got a cool thing going on. You know, we're continuing on with our 80s retrospective. I guess you could call it that. We're breaking these the whole decade into 2-year chunks. Tonight, we're going to cover 1988 and 1989.
Yes.
But what's really cool about tonight's episode is we are joined by Mr. Bill Van Vagel and Mr. Nathan Bartleball from Phantom Galaxy.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys? How you doing tonight?
And by joined, you mean party crashed? We just invited
no.
over.
We're all into the party.
As long as we're not conjoined.
Yes.
Hey,
the more meat, the merrier.
And we just discussed The Fly, so Bill's still on that track. You know, we'll put it all in the Rumble machine, see what kind of meatloaf comes out the other side.
Yeah.
This is kind of like that stovetop stuffing commercial back in the day where the kid tells the other kid go to Billy's house because they have stovetop.
Oh, yeah.
Here we all are.
Oh, I like the one, it's shake and bake, and I help.
But I am really excited for this one because
nice.
I messaged you guys right away and said I love this series, and then I called in the other day. But for this one, 88 and 89 isn't traditionally known as one of the big horror years.
No, it's not.
But as Ryan was messaging me before saying, you know, there's a lot there. With any year, if you dig, you'll find lots.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
And this is no different.
That's 100%. Like, I started looking and doing research and stuff, and I was like, holy shit, man, my list has kept getting bigger and bigger, and I'm like, man, there's a ton of horror that I would recommend to people and that I would consider pretty damn good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, there's some greats in there, you know, but some that are going to probably make my top 10. I was just telling JT, we're going to be doing our top 10 of the 80s. And it's going to be hard for me.
Yeah. Oddly enough, there's a lot of films in these 2 years that are probably some of my favorite movies.
Yes.
I mean,
me too. There's one in this year that's one of my all-time favorite horror movies, close to the top 10, honestly.
Yeah.
Maybe top 10, depending on the day.
Would that be Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers?
Yes.
Man, you took the wind right out of my sails. But no surprise, I've seen that movie.
Boys, the gloves are off.
It ain't the gloves that
Ryan's
come
over
off.
here talking about hookers already.
As long as it's only the gloves that come off, I'm happy with it.
I didn't even bother wearing pants for this episode.
Game prepared. That opening scene where she's laying down the plastic wrap, and he's like, "Oh!" and then the chainsaw comes out, and he's still not asking any questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know.
But yeah, guys, we are doing 88 and 89. This is going to be a pretty fun one. A, because it's a big list of movies, and B, is because we got our good buddies Bill and Nathan with us.
Yes.
And so this is going to be fun, as usual.
We appreciate you guys being here, too.
Oh, no
problem coming on.
Whenever Bill threw that out there, I was like, oh, hell yeah, that'd be kick-ass.
There's only one thing that'll get me off my hammock, and it's the Horror Chronicles.
That's right.
Nice.
You're doing better than me because half time I don't even want to be here.
What you can't see is beneath that computer desk, he's still in a hammock right now.
Just a banana hammock.
No.
I didn't have any. They didn't have any extra large, so I didn't.
Yeah. I'm good. I shop in the junior department.
I got a thought in my head that has went way wrong.
But anyway, so how I think we're gonna do this, guys? I think what we'll do is we'll just do a round table type, kind of like it.
We're just going to talk over each other all night.
No, I'm going to mute his mic.
Man, that's Phantom Galaxy style. You can't take our shtick.
Oh, we can't steal your thunder there.
So we'll just each, go around picking movies, and we'll talk a little bit about them and all that, and we'll try to make it through these lists. And
well, the way that I did mine is I knew that the hosts, you guys are fantastic at this, and you guys would take the big boys.
Yeah,
I figured that much. So I kind of dug to the ones that were, below the crud in your shoe. Those are the ones I pulled.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Do you need
I've got
all
a lot
the
of those
covered?
on my list.
Yeah. Mine is the schlock. Nathan's is the intellectual. Ryan's is the bloody, and JT's is the boobies.
He's
Yes,
probably nailed it,
yes.
actually. I think he's probably right on.
What I want to know is after your post a few weeks ago, what was the nude scene count in these?
That's true.
You ran out of fingers and toes.
Yeah,
so
That was
I
the
don't know
craziest
anymore.
thing.
There was a Friday the 13th this year, wasn't it?
There
Yeah.
was both years.
Yeah, both
Yeah.
years, yeah.
Well, we might as well talk about that because the Friday the 13th that came out in 1988 was part 7. It was called
New
The
Blood.
New Blood.
Yep.
As a movie, not the greatest film in the franchise, but it has one of the best things that ever happened to the franchise, and that was the introduction of Kane Hodder as Jason Voorhees. It was his first time
That's very
behind
true.
the mask, and he followed it up with 3 more installments.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love this movie because of Kane Hodder.
What are your guys' thoughts on this one?
I'll be honest, I probably haven't seen it in 25 years.
Yeah.
I know I've seen it, but after a while, after about number 4, they all kind of blend together until they reboot it. So you're going to have to give me what the highlight of that is.
This is actually one of my favorite ones.
It wasn't
there
the
you
one.
go.
Yeah.
It wasn't the one on the ship in New York.
That's the
No,
next one.
that's Manhattan.
That's next year.
That's Manhattan.
So we're
Okay.
gonna
This is
talk
the one
about
where
that
Lar
one next
Park
year.
Lincoln. With Lar Park Lincoln is the psychic girl, right? The telekinesis.
Yes.
Yeah, I do like this one a lot. Although once you introduce Jason's opponent as a telekinetic girl, it kind of then becomes imbalanced. You would think, like, why doesn't he just pick him up and slam him into a few trees?
Yeah. Or explode.
Well, he
him.
would do that with her
Yes.
if she was in a sleeping bag.
That's true. That's true. I mean, there are the earlier ones are some of the earlier ones. 4, and of course, is one of the better ones. But I have a lot of fun with this one, and this one I'm probably most nostalgic about because I saw it maybe a year or so in the realm that it came out. I probably saw it in like '89, and had a lot of fun with it. And it was probably the first one I saw all the way through from beginning to end because even though we watched a lot of horror movies growing up, for whatever reason, my parents were like not big on the Jason film, so they would turn it off, or you kind of have to sneak a piece there, here or there. This was the first one I saw all the way through, and I loved it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this one too. To be honest with you, I can kind of watch all of them. Like, I know, like Bill was saying, the first 4 were good, and after that, to me, the Friday the 13th are movies that I watch when I just want to watch some campy ass, cool, good murder scenes. It's just something that it will, like you kind of said, nostalgic that'll bring back. You can just hang out and watch a good movie.
To me, they're comfort food.
Yeah,
You put
exactly.
on your blanket, you can watch it. There's going to be a little TNA, there's going to be some blood, there's going to be some weird kills, and you just sit back and whatever.
Yeah, sweet.
And you can't go wrong with a, camp counselor movie.
They're all kind of similar, and none of them to me are so awful you can't watch them. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think there's one.
Although
that just
I
stands
remember
out.
one of the first graphic horror films I saw in the theater was the one where they go to outer space.
Jason X.
Oh,
Jason X.
Jason
I
X.
love that one.
And I was sitting there going,
has probably one of the best kills on film, and that's the frozen face kill.
Yes.
But when you're like 18 and you're expecting teenage
Oh, yeah.
counselors, and you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You
Well,
were older
it was-
than 18 when Jason X came out.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
No, what
It
year
was
was
up
that?
there with Leprechaun.
That was
and
2002, man.
Was that really that long ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Maybe I was maybe it just seems that long ago.
It does. That it does.
Yeah.
Hey, one of the highlights of that movie was when the nipple falls off the android.
No, the sleeping bag scene.
Yeah, that was
That's the
good,
best.
too.
The holographic.
Yeah. Love
Now, the
it.
one I didn't care for was Jason versus Freddy. I was not a big fan of that one. But
See, and I dug that movie. I got a kick out of it.
Again, with
I think
me.
it was nostalgia, though.
Yes, with me
it
for
wasn't
those.
awful. I just, yeah.
So let's go ahead. One of you guys, I don't care. You guys can fight to the death over who's going to put one out next. Pick a movie.
Nathan, throw one out there.
Okay, well, I'll go with the one that actually, to me, is probably the best movie on the list and one of the best horror movies I've seen. And it's actually a Dutch film. It's called Spoorloos, or the American translation would be The Vanishing. I
Oh,
don't know if
okay.
anybody here has seen this film. So there's actually 2 versions of the film. not two versions of the film, but there are two movies called The Vanishing. One came out in 1988. One came out in 1993. Both were directed by the same guy. One was an American film with Kiefer Sutherland and Jeff Bridges.
Yes.
Sandra Bullock had a small role. That may be that you're more likely to have seen. That's actually a very kind of pale, weirdly, again, it's directed by the same guy. It's a pale sort of American imitator of this original movie. It's not really like this film at all. This movie is one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most haunting psychological horror movies I've ever seen. And have you guys seen this one?
I have not.
Nope,
Yeah,
I haven't.
Bill,
seen
you've seen it?
I've seen it, but it's been quite a while.
Loose? Is that how you say that?
Loose, yes. I think that's SPOOR.
LOOS.
Is it LOS? Yes.
LOOS. Yep, we're looking at it right now. Yeah,
And
I'm about to check this one out.
George Sluicer. It's an excellent movie. It's a very. It takes its time. It's very atmospheric. It's very existential, and yet it captures you, and it does some things that you're kind of not expecting it to do, particularly if you're used to a certain kind of mystery thriller, a certain kind of like serial killer film. This kind of doesn't do anything that you would expect. It's much closer, I wouldn't say in exact style, but it's closer to a Hitchcock film in the sense that the director understands how to play with the audience, and he does it in a different way than Hitchcock a little bit. But it deals with this couple. They're on vacation. They're kind of going cross country. They end up, there's a scene early on where they get stuck in this tunnel. Their car kind of dies in the middle of a darkened tunnel. And it's Rex and Saskia. Saskia is hesitant. She's scared. She's frightened. She doesn't want to get out of the car. She's kind of freaking out. He gets frustrated with her, and he just leaves her there in the dark and walks out of the tunnel. And you know this movie is called The Vanishing, so you're like, he's never going to see her again. And yet, everything works out okay. They get out of the tunnel together, and they are headed out. But there's a little bit of a dark cloud over their relationship now because of what's happened. You know, they just had this moment where she's realized she can't fully depend on him. He's realized that he can't fully be there for her. And then in the midst of this sort of argument and this fracture, while they're sort of arguing and having a moment over this, they pull into a like bus stop, and she goes into the bathroom, and then she never comes out, and he never ever sees her again.
Oh crap!
And 3 years go by, and he hasn't seen her. And we see 3 years. What's happened to this guy is he has sort of obsessively gotten stuck over what happened. And again, we all in our relationships have moments where, you know, the thing about a strong relationship is it weathers little rough spots, but you always assume you have a few more minutes or a few more hours or another day, right, to resolve those rough spots. This is one of those big fears where you lose somebody in the midst of a downtime, of a dark moment, and those memories sort of haunt him. And for me, one of my big fears is the idea of like losing a child, losing a spouse, and just not even finding the body, not knowing. And this not knowing is tearing him apart.
Yeah.
Here's what's crazy. After 3 years, he starts to get letters from the person who took her.
Yes.
And then what's a weird twist in this film is the camera cuts in and shows you this guy, shows you immediately who he is, and you realize he's a normal family guy. He's just chilling with his family. His family's over here having a picnic, and they're there's distracted, absent-minded dad over in the corner. He's just kind of walking around. What he's really doing is rehearsing the steps that he would use to grab someone and put a chloroform over their mouth and knock them into a car.
Oh,
and he's just doing this over in the corner of the family home. These two guys end up on a collision course towards each other, and Rex is just hell-bent on finding out what happened to Saskia and going as far as he can go. And when they have a confrontation, it's not at all what you would expect. It's not. So if you've seen the 93 movie, you really haven't got a grasp on what this one is. It's a very dark, it's a very haunting movie. I loved it. I mean, I think it's a fantastic movie. And the actor who plays the killer, he's just chilling because he's so down to earth. He's so seemingly normal.
That's crazy.
That's
That's usually how it is, though.
Yeah.
You know, you just never know. I mean,
wow.
You guys have too many red flags. You're safe.
Oh, what about you, Bill? What's one you got going on?
Well, what I'm going to throw out there, as I said, I was digging a little deeper, and this one's a fun one. See, here Nathan goes for this Dutch foreign, high level. I'm going to go for Maniac Cop.
Oh, yes.
Great movie.
Maniac
Absolutely.
Cop. William Lustig, a Larry Cohen film. It's got the mustache, Tom Atkins. It's got the lip, Bruce Campbell. It's got Robert Zadar as the Maniac Cop. And basically a cop that's dressed up, a serial killer dressed up as a cop, going around and randomly killing people in New York City, and it's the police force trying to figure it out.
Yeah, man, that's a great film.
Yeah.
Actually, like how many are there? There's like
There were three.
three, I think.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I like all of them actually, but yeah,
They're all fine. The third one gets a little out there, but it's still enjoyable.
Yeah, but the first one is
and people that watch it for Bruce Campbell, there will be that crew. He really was not proud of this film. He needed to make this film,
Yeah.
He wasn't exactly
good in
Tom
it, though.
Cruise, but he was good, yeah.
Well, it's Bruce.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually just watched this movie a few weeks ago. Every Friday night, I watch Joe Bob's Last Drive-In, and he did this, and he had Bruce Campbell on there as a special guest, and they played this movie. And it was funny. Bruce Campbell was talking about all the weird stuff that went on with the film and different things, It was kind of cool.
He never talks that highly of it, so I'm curious what he has to say.
No.
And the thing is, these days, you get Bruce's resume, and Maniac Cop comes to the top. I mean, he's done a lot of those sci-fi originals and stuff.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
He should be pretty proud of Maniac Cop.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, boss.
That's a good
man.
one. That's a good
All right,
one.
boss man, go ahead.
Did you spit anything out there?
No, I never spit. But anyway, no, yeah, I said Hollywood chainsaw hookers.
Okay, so
Talking about spitting and swallowing.
no kidding. There's so many that came out. I know one of Ryan's favorites came out this year, so I'm not going to talk about that. But what I am going to talk about is Lance Henriksen in Pumpkinhead.
Yes. Yes.
Pumpkinhead.
What a fantastic film.
Dude.
You can watch that movie now and it still holds up pretty well. Great movie.
Yeah, actually, it's funny.
Without a doubt.
I was going through my list on my thing, and on our big 65-inch screen, my wife's like, "Ooh, Pumpkinhead." I'm like, "Yeah, we're gonna watch that later."
Yeah.
But speaking of that, like Nathan was just talking about how losing a child,
Yeah.
fucking Lance kills it
Yeah.
in
he really
this.
did.
Because you feel it.
Little
They
boy
accidentally
giving him
kill
that
his
little
son.
necklace.
Oh my gosh, dude, that
yeah.
that just gave me goosebumps just thinking about it.
Everything about this film. I mean, the atmosphere in it and the lengths that he goes through just to try and get revenge.
Man.
It just I can see it. I can see somebody doing that.
Oh yeah. This movie is great. Not only for that reason.
My dog took my chicken nugget earlier, and I almost killed him. So I can see where revenge is.
But not only for that aspect of it, but this movie's just great. Pumpkinhead. This is a good movie for you to let you can watch with your kids. They're a little bit older, 8, 9.
Yeah, that's this Friday night horror night is going to be Pumpkinhead.
Oh
We
yeah,
decided
man.
Before I realized what's coming on here, and that's it. Stan Winston directed this, and I was so excited. This is one I remember I remember seeing a lot of horror movies in the 80s, but there's only a handful I remember where I was super psyched to rent them, where you knew they were coming out and you were so excited. And this was probably that point where I started picking up those not buying them because my parents, they're fine showing us horror movies, but don't have those magazines where people can see them. The Fangoria magazines. I'd read them in the supermarket or something. And I remember them making a big deal about the fact that this is going to be directed by Stan Winston, the guy who's made at this point Predator and Aliens.
Yeah.
2 years, these two movies that were and then here's Pumpkinhead. And seeing the trailers and not seeing the monster until literally because I think my dad just rented it from the video store, so I didn't see the cover, and I'd only seen little snippets of it. So to see that thing kind of come out and lean down and poke its head in the window, how unbelievably tall it is with the big hands. Such a great monster design. It's like the alien, but it's not quite like the alien.
Right. Yeah, and this is a great creature feature.
Oh, 100%.
Without a doubt. It's got a little bit of everything, with the witchcraft
and what I like.
One thing it doesn't have is a pumpkin head.
Yeah.
What I like about it is it really sets up the characters to dislike them.
Yes.
This is tick it off in film school. These are the guys you don't like.
Yes. Right. They give you that asshole.
Have some sympathy for them. Yeah.
Yeah,
A little bit.
Absolutely.
100% with that one. There's so many movies. I don't just want to jump into the big ones. We usually do jump right into the big ones. But
He jumps onto the big one.
yes, my own.
Better to be on top in that case.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I'm power top. No,
Well,
anyways.
We could just spit out some of those big ones and just get them out of the way.
No, why would we do that?
Well,
But anyway, I want to mention one, and I thought about this whenever I knew you guys are both coming on, and it's actually a anime movie, and it's called Demon City.
Yep.
Shinjuku. Yep. I was like, that looks pretty cool. So I kind of checked it out a little bit.
nice.
Pretty interesting. And I knew you guys kind of get to the anime type things and stuff like that. I was like, that'd be a good one to mention for him. I don't know if either of you guys are going to bring that up or not, but I seen it and I'm like, I got to mention it just to get it out there. Because there's not very many that I know of, because I'm not big into anime, that came out in the 80s like that, horror wise, you know. I don't know if people film
No, not too many. Akira, which is sci-fi, it has some horror elements, but there's not a lot of horror anime anyway. You know what I mean? Vampire Hunter D, I think that was 85 though. That's kind of one of the big horror animes that came out. Vampire Hunter D. And I don't think that was 88. I thought that was a little earlier. But again, I'm learning some of these movies came out. I didn't realize it.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, so I will mention one big one since we're here. I might as well do it.
Do it.
I'm going to talk about one of my all-time favorites, and that is Phantasm 2.
Yes.
I am.
That is
everyone.
not what I thought you were going to bring up.
Well, I love Phantasm. I love the whole series.
Me too.
I absolutely love the storyline in Phantasm, and that whole movie series is just near dear. But I like Phantasm 2 so much because it's the introduction of the old 4-barrel shotgun.
Yeah.
So Phantasm,
and they
2,
get a real budget in this one too. They have their biggest budget, and you can tell it's the most like cinematic of the movies. You know, later on, you just Coscarelli is a great director. You just wish they give him a little bit more money, but here he kind of had the money. And I think the first one's the best one, but this is probably the next best one.
Yeah.
I remember when this film came out. It was probably one of the most anticipated horror sequels because it had been 9 years since the first one came out.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. It's
how many sequels are there? There's 6.
there is
5.
Well, 6 with Ravager.
Yes, 5.
Oh, Ravager is 6. I thought it was 5.
I thought Ravager was 5.
Ravager is the newest one.
What was Oblivion?
That was 4.
Oblivion was 4.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There was Lord of the Dead was 3.
Yeah, I think there's only 5.
There's 5.
I think there's
because
5.
Oblivion was the last one before Ravager. I know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely love Phantasm, man. I can't talk about that whole series enough. Go ahead. One of you guys.
Oh.
Well, no, you can't jump the line.
Well, you just looked at me and said, go.
It's your show. Go ahead.
No. You guys.
It's our show, so fuck
something out because
JT.
If I start spitting stuff out, I'm going to go down a list. Oh, hey, I do got a really cool note up on the top of my paper, though, that I was listening to your guys' latest episode, and Nathan, you were talking about Fringe.
I was, yeah. You guys like Fringe?
I love that series.
One of the best sci-fi
Oh, my
TV
God,
series.
it was so good. So good. Not many people know about that.
Whenever I get through all these X-Files, we got to talk. We got to do one on Fringe.
Joshua Jackson. And
Joshua Jackson and John Noble. And who was the...
who was
Olivia
the woman?
Cook?
Oh, God.
Olivia Cook? No, Olivia was a character. Who was she played by? It's not coming to me right now. I think that was kind of her breakout role. Like, that was the first thing I think I'd really seen her in.
Great series.
It is. It's awesome.
It's funny. He does have that written real big on top of his.
Because I was listening to it and I was like, "Oh shit, Fringe! Oh my God, I love that show."
And literally on top,
I really like that show.
On top of mine, it says
good.
"Real big Hollywood chainsaw hookers." It does too. Real big.
Well,
up here.
We know where our thoughts lie.
I'm
Anyway.
surprised he didn't start drawing pictures of it.
Well, that's my other notebook.
Well, let me throw one out there then too. I'll keep it not so much with the highbrow, but how about The Lady in White by Frank Loja from 1988?
That was the
that film.
the
I've
made
got
for
that
Did I
wrote down
steal
on
one
my
from you
list.
there, Jared? I'm sorry, Gerald.
No.
Take it from
You're
me.
all good, man.
Yeah.
You're all good. That's one of those films that not a lot of people have seen. And
It's a shame because I feel like it's really good. It deserves to be in the conversation with a lot of the other kind of movies. People talk about the Goonies and the Gate and all these other things, and yet nobody mentions Lady in White. Now, I will say one thing about this movie. I saw this movie when I was young. I was younger, and I'd seen these types of horror films, but I remember watching it with the whole family and really loving it. And then it's on one of the streaming services, and I started watching it with my kids. And then suddenly I was like, wait a minute, this involves the rape and murder of little girls. And I was like,
flip.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know that I can't remember if it's rated R or PG-13, but it's dark, whatever it is. And I couldn't remember. I always thought it was PG-13. And so I don't
think it was rated R.
I didn't think so either, but the content of it, and it also got into some. It takes place in the '60s, so there's a lot of racial things going on as well. There's a kind of scapegoated African American man, things like that.
Woo.
Yeah, well, I don't think it opened in a lot of places, but it's a really good ghost story. It's a movie.
Definitely.
I mean, it only had a budget of like $5 million, but then it only made $1.7 million at the box office, but it's a really good movie.
It's a really cool film, and you could definitely watch this with your kids.
Yeah,
because that's got Lucas Haas. I mean, and he's a young kid.
Gotcha.
And basically, go ahead, Nathan.
All I was going to say is you just be aware that it's more the thematic elements. Like with my kids, I'm fine showing the kind of over-the-top gore, but it gets kind of intense in terms of like there's a killer of children out there. And as long as you're sort of aware of that, it deals a little bit more in reality than some of the even some of the slasher films. And so that's where I was kind of like, I don't want to freak them out too much. But it's an excellent film.
And I had that same thing with, gosh dang it. Why am I drawing a blank? The prequel to, or not the prequel, but the movie connected with Shining.
Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep. I had the same thing with Dr. Sleep because my boys...
He goes some dark places,
Yeah, my kids, my son's, especially my oldest, really loves watching horror with me and stuff, and he's just I want to watch it.
Jacob Tremblay is way...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah.
What you got?
Well, I'm going to throw out one that I don't know if you guys have seen. Nathan no doubt has, and you guys probably know the director. The director is Ken Russell, and it's The Lair of the White Worm.
Yes.
And that one is, well, for the ladies in the audience, it's got a younger Hugh Grant.
Ooh.
And it's got Catherine Oxenberg, who you might know, and Amanda Donahoe, who, let's just say, doesn't leave much to the imagination at certain scenes.
Right.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And, he's an archaeologist. They're in Scotland. He finds a skull in the ground, and it leads to something else, and it leads to something else. Anybody who's seen anything with Ken Russell knows it's trippy. Knows you're not going to get a linear storyline. If you drop some acid, you'd really get into that.
Oh, my favorite movies.
It's one of those, but you know what? It's not for everybody, but it's definitely an interesting watch, because I just watched for the first time not that long ago The Devils, and The Devils was directed by Ken Russell.
Yeah,
and it's this is a 15 years later Ken Russell, but it's still in that realm. So it's an interesting film. If you get into the mythology and stuff of the Lair of the White Worm and all that kind of stuff, like you guys being more the cryptozoologist would get into that. I think it's a fun film.
Yeah. The movie starts when they discover basically what they believe to be a dragon skull buried in an English field. So that kind of sets the movie on its course. But it's a weird, campy, goofy movie. It's not to the level of like Altered States or The Devils, but it's weird.
Oh man, I got to mention this too real quick while I'm remembering it. So I'm gonna write this down too. But for those of you listening, these two guys are part of multiple podcasts, but one of them is Strange Frequencies.
Yes.
And I gotta remember, I don't know if you've got it set up yet or if you've already done it, but I want to do an episode with you guys on Tool 46 and 2, particularly the song. I don't know if you know much about that. It talks about the shadow. Dude, man, there's some cool stuff we could talk about on that. Just to mention that. I'm gonna write that down. There's
46 and 2.
46 and 2 by Tool.
Send it to Nathan. He's the bookkeeper.
You could do a whole episode on Tool. Yeah, we still got to get your Strange Frequencies episode you already recorded with us out.
Oh,
that's
all
coming
good.
up this month in June.
Yeah.
We'll just keep putting it all out. But yeah, that's a good one. You guys will like it once we get into that. But anyways, JT, go ahead. What you got? Another movie here.
Okay. I got to go with the goddess.
Thank you.
Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
You're talking about my
yes.
there.
Love that movie. You talk about campy schlock.
How's your head? Well, I haven't heard any complaints.
Dude,
Now, is she the queen of using tape underneath her dress?
possibly. I tell you what,
On
you know,
top of
for
the
as
dress
old as
and
she
everywhere
is, she is still drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah, I couldn't care less. I'd be still. It's okay. Use all the tape you want.
Yeah.
But no, that is a fun movie.
Yeah,
It's
great film.
yeah.
I remember watching that when I was like 13, 14 or whatever. And, you watch it for the obvious reasons, but you end up enjoying the
I
film.
just remember her
it's got a
spider
cool story
tassel
behind it.
spinning around.
Yeah.
And that Thunderbird that she was driving.
Oh,
my
yeah.
God.
Yeah. With the freaking chain.
Oh yeah. The freaking spiderweb grill and all the skulls all over it. Oh, dude, I fell in love with that car.
That's a
Now,
fun
car
one.
was
now,
hotter
there's
than
there's a movie that needs a sequel.
Yeah. Well,
A new
they
Elvira
did,
movie. Yeah.
Elvira's Haunted Hills.
Is that a kind of movie is that?
It's a movie.
All right.
It's a movie.
It is what it is.
Let me write
It is what
that
it is.
down.
Yeah.
We gotta get going, guys. There's tons of movies in 80.
Yeah, we gotta get going.
Yeah,
Okay.
we got to keep rolling because we're running.
So let's mention some of the obvious. I guess we can do that right now since we know everyone knows these. You got Child's Play.
Child's Play. Yeah.
I mean, I like Chucky, the original Child's Play, the first one. I didn't get much into the other ones. The first one to me, even when I was a kid, I'm like, I'll just kick that little bastard across the floor, But it was still pretty good. Liked it. Then you got, of course, Halloween 4.
Yeah.
The Return of
Right.
Michael Myers. I like those personally. I think they're great films.
I think it's funny that we got Halloween 4 and Elm Street 4 in the same year.
There you go. So mention that one. Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream
Well,
Master.
back then they were making sure they had competition every single year. I mean, I think a couple of years here. 89, I think, has 2 also, doesn't it? We get
yeah.
Elm Street.
Yep.
I want to spit this out there since I just talked about Elm Street, and that is the movie Serpent and the Rainbow.
I got that right now, too.
Yes.
That was
That's on my list
directed
here,
by
Serpent.
the infamous Wes Craven.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was on a real roll at this point. I mean,
He really was.
He was just because he's got another one in 89, but coming off of Nightmare on Elm Street, he kind of just kept going
on.
and
Kept the ball rolling. Yeah.
yeah, because what did he do? He did The Hills Have Eyes Part 2 after that, which wasn't great, and then Deadly Friend, which is just
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
We use that in our
I like
decapitation.
Deadly Friend.
Well,
Yeah, that scene with the
The basketball.
let's see.
the
What's a couple
basketball
other
scene,
big
so-
ones? Fright Night 2, I guess, is somewhat of a big one.
I like Fright Night 2. It's not as good as Fright Night 1, but I still
No.
enjoyed it.
Here's a movie that a lot of people I don't really have heard. I haven't heard actually out of all the horror podcasts I listen to. I haven't really heard anybody mention this, and that is The Seventh Sign.
Yeah. Demi Moore.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a Demi Moore movie,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
Jürgen Prochnow.
Mm,
Oh,
Yeah.
Jürgen. Yeah.
Jürgen.
Jürgen.
that's a good one.
Jürgen. Yeah.
That's
That's
a-
Jürgen thinking about Demi Moore later.
Jürgen.
Jürgen, you're Proc now.
Wow.
But no, I think that's a good movie. I don't really hear anybody ever mention that one. That's actually definitely a really good one. I like that one a lot.
Can I throw out a remake?
Yes.
The Blob.
Yes.
Blob.
The Blob remake.
Chuck
with
Russell.
Kevin Dillon.
That's a good remake, but it is nauseating.
It is.
It's like trying to outgross The Fly from a few years earlier, and it's
Yes.
the Blob is so nasty.
I
I
love
love
that
the
film.
original Blob, and it's like that has a kind of cheerful, cheesy feel to it. And they managed to get a cheerful kind of feel here, but then the Blob is just so heinous that it's like it's melting children. It's so crazy.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I guess another
and Shawnee
one.
Smith. Gotta mention Shawnee Smith.
Shawnee Smith. Oh, absolutely.
Well, I'll mention one, and that is Night of the Demons.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh.
Night of the
Demons actually ended up being what, our second episode?
Our second episode.
The second episode we ever did, we did a review on Night of the Demons.
And
I imagine Ryan isn't going to say much because it'll make his top 10.
Yes, 100% it is. And I'm not going to say very much about it except for that I absolutely love this movie.
So which of the two night movies is higher for you, Comet or Demons?
Oof. I would say Demons, but I know the reason why I'm an apocalyptic. I like zombie movies. I like apocalyptic movies. Night of the Comet's a great one too. I love Night of the Comet. I would say Night of the Demons is because I watched them both fairly recently, probably in the last few months, and Night of the Demons very much still holds up. I can watch that anytime, and it still holds up for me. Night of the Comet, I mean, it still held up for me because of the nostalgia thing, but I could see how I could introduce those two movies to someone who doesn't watch horror, and they would probably like Night of the Demons more than they would like Night of the Comet. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You could probably show that to somebody, and they'd be, oh, man, that's creepy as hell. That one's kind of – it's okay, but
it's a little campier.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's a great – I love the soundtrack. I just love everything about it. So
here's one that maybe none of you guys have seen, and maybe you have, and that is Sorority Babes and the Slimeball Bowl-orama.
I've seen the director, but I haven't seen that one. I actually looked for it, and I can't find it streaming anywhere.
Okay, it's
I've
on
seen
Shudder.
More than one.
They've got it on Shudder.
Oh, do they? Okay.
The reason why I bring this movie up is, for as campy as the title is, it's actually a decent 80s horror movie, and it stars the lovely Linnea Quigley.
Oh, yeah.
Is she dressed modestly?
Yeah.
She always dresses for the occasion.
Yeah, and Bill, for you, there's a fantastic nude scene right at the beginning. I mean, because I know you're into.
And it's got your favorite, it's got the goofy little creatures too, like kind of claymation-y sort of little monster. I saw this movie on USA Up All Night back in the day, in like the early 90s.
Well, this is the same director as, isn't this the one that did Gnaw?
Nah.
Is it? Maybe. The Food of the Gods too?
Oh, is it The Food of the Gods too? Is that the same?
No, I don't think so. Or is this a David DeCocteau movie?
Cocteau.
The guy. DeCocteau, yes. Well, you look up his IMDb page. He now mostly directs, I think, like homoerotic supernatural films involving Bigfoot.
See, you thought you were the only person.
Yeah.
Your niche has been filled.
Yeah. So, since Nathan brought it up, I'm going to bring this one up. This is a movie for Ryan. It's called Curse of the Queer Wolf.
Yes. I started.
That was from '88.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Curse of the Queer
Now you're talking about digging deep, Gerald. I'm impressed.
He likes it deep. He likes digging it deep.
There's so many great movies in this year.
I was going to say, I'm going to bring up a couple that I have deep.
Go ahead.
One I just watched the other night, Cellar Dweller.
Cellar Dweller.
I've got that on my list.
Fun.
Yeah, Cellar Dweller with...
Who's the big draw for that movie?
Yvonne DiCarlo.
Yvonne DiCarlo.
And
Jeffrey Combs.
Jeffrey Combs. Yeah, he's only in the beginning. But the other one is Vince Edwards, who played Dr. Ben Casey back in the day.
Oh, you're right.
And it's about a cartoonist, Jeffrey Combs, who unleashes something when he draws the cartoon, and it leads to his demise. And then years later, another one comes to the same place and reinvigorates the cartooning and gets the monster coming back, which is an interesting one.
Man, there's so many.
And I watched it because I didn't think I'd seen it, but I actually had. But it had been so long, it's almost like you're rediscovering the film.
That's so fun. That's some of the best stuff that happens. You forget you watched a movie, and then you're like, oh, man.
And you remember a couple key scenes, but at that point, you're 20 minutes in, so you're going to watch the whole
Right.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, you said you had another one.
I have a couple more. There was a Japanese film called Evil Dead Trap.
Yes, that movie's crazy.
And it's about
seen that. It came up on my list.
It's a good one because it's about a TV show that, one of these publicity shows that's always looking for something hot topics.
Don't spoil the ending, Bill.
No. And she asks for viewer submissions, ideas, what's going on in the neighborhood, what's weird and wacky. And somebody sends them a tape where they think they've seen a snuff film. So they go investigate it. And I'll leave it there.
Yeah,
but as long as you don't mind subtitles, it's got some really freaky not animation, but effects work.
Sweet.
And it's a good.
And it's almost like a Japanese giallo, really. When you say Bill, it has those overtones.
And there's lots of red herrings and there's lots in that.
It's a legitimate mystery kind of involved in it.
And one more that I covered with Land of the Creeps for our Canadian horror episode that you guys may or may not have seen is Pin.
Yeah,
Pin. Yeah.
Pin. Have you guys seen Pin?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So that's the one about the doll with the doctor.
Right.
And it's a strange one. Let's just put it out there. It's an odd one. But if you don't mind, if you don't mind kind of just going with it, you can do a lot worse than watch Pin.
I say, well, it can't be stranger than Return to the Killer Tomatoes.
Yeah.
I like that movie.
Yeah,
John Aston.
Oh yeah, that was on my list. Sorry.
Well, and I've got some. I think they're deep cuts as well, so I can go through a couple.
Go
if
ahead.
you want. Do you guys remember the movie Scarecrows?
Yes.
88. It's actually a pretty good movie. I hadn't seen it for years, but I finally got around to seeing it. There's a group of, and it's been a while since I've seen it, criminals or thieves, and they end up kind of holed up in this farmhouse, and there are scarecrows in the field, and then they start getting picked off one by one, but it almost develops into a kind of survival horror kind of vibe to it. It's really a lot of fun.
I don't know why I love Scarecrow movies so much, but I do.
I do too. They're just creepy.
There's something to be said for being 18, having too much to drink, going out in the field, and not coming back.
Yeah, man. I love Scarecrow movies.
Have you seen this one, Bill? Have you seen this one, Ryan?
I have. But
yes.
It's been quite a while.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
What I tend to do is I'll get on this cinema app I have, and I'll it's cool because I can pick a timeline. So I click horror. And then I could go and I could pick a timeline. I could pick 88, 89, whatever year I want. Yeah. And it'll pop up all the movies. And that's what me and my wife tend to do. We'll sit down once the kids go to sleep usually. And like, all right, pick a year, pick a genre, and then we'll pick something from that. So Scarecrows came up not too long ago.
Nathan mentioning Scarecrow made me think of 1988's Hack-O-Lantern.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I saw Hack-O-Lantern. But,
I seen the thing.
Yeah, we covered that for Land of the Creeps for the last Halloween episode. And
nice.
Oh, boy.
Go ahead, Nathan. You said got a couple more?
Yeah. You guys see one? I thought it was an Australian film. It says U.S. here, but The Nest.
The Nest.
It's
great film.
You remember this? It's a giant cockroach movie with a kind of twist because in this movie, the cockroaches have started mutating because of, I guess, like radioactive sludge or something. I don't remember, but when the things that they bite or start to eat, they kind of like turn into hybrids. So you have like a cockroach cat at one point and cockroach human hybrids. It's a lot of fun and some really cool stop motion effects work in this movie. But I think this is it's a really fun movie. And it's not your average bug movie where you watch a bunch of, rubber cockroaches sort of crawl across the ground. It's got some pretty nifty special effects in it. This year also had, we remember that George Romero released a movie this year, Monkey Shines.
Yeah, that's on my list.
Yeah, I like Monkey Shines a lot. It's a weird vibe to it, and there's some extraordinarily strange scenes in this movie. Some of them having nothing to do at all with the monkey, but I like it. It just the vibe that it gives off. It's
that was
what?
Cool
that
was
vibe.
Andrew Stevens?
No, who was in Monkey Shines.
God.
It was I'm not recognizing it. Jason
Begg.
Yeah, was in it, and Joyce Van Patten, Katie McNeil. Not
The monkey.
too many names. Yes, the monkey.
The monkey was in it.
He was in that.
His name was.
It's
Boo.
funny. We were talking of The Fly yesterday, and we had to bring up the fact that Typhoon from Shakma was in The Fly.
Nice.
And I talked about how Cronenberg said he was like really kind of afraid of that baboon, and then nobody could get around it except for Jeff Goldblum, and it would sort of just melt and become tranquil and calm around Jeff Goldblum.
Well, if he's mentioning they nest, I'm going to mention Slugs.
Slugs, yeah.
Slugs
yeah.
is
I
1988.
haven't seen that probably since 1988
That's kind of
or
probably
89,
too.
somewhere around in there.
They get whole movies out of stuff like this, the Slugs. Well, how about this one? And I didn't see it until last year when Land of the Creeps did their werewolf episode. This rock and roll werewolf movie called Lone Wolf. Have you seen this? There are some astounding mullets in this movie.
I'm writing that down.
I'm all into
Feathered
the
hair. This is a fun cheeseball movie. I remember recommending it to Greg Morgan. He was like, "Where did you find this?" Lone Wolf. I think it's streaming, and if not, I believe it's on YouTube. But yeah, it's rock and roll werewolf, and it's expect low budget, but I think you'll have fun.
I'm gonna mention two of my favorites here real quick because I want to get them out of the way since we got a lot to talk about still. One of them is Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yes.
Oh,
Man, so good.
Put him up.
Dude, I went to Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights the year before last year, and man, they had the Killer Clowns from Outer Space there. It was awesome, dude. Awesome. But yeah, I love that movie. Great film. Cheesy as hell. Super fun.
So
guys,
creative. Creative. There's so much imagination in that movie, though.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the reason Ryan likes it is that they're big dangling pink scrotum, basically.
with people inside.
Yeah.
And then the other one I'm going to mention is Return of the Living Dead 2.
Yeah, so many sequels this year.
You didn't even mention the one movie that I thought you would be all over.
Which one?
The big one.
Yes.
Roddy Piper and They Live.
Oh, They Live.
To me, that movie's more of a documentary, but this is a different podcast.
But is that a horror movie or is that a take on consumerism and the political level of things?
It's a horror movie.
It's a horror movie.
Well, that's my whole point. I could talk forever on this whole movie.
You're okay. This one, really ugly.
I mean,
formaldehyde face.
Dude, that movie's so good.
What a fight scene. What a great fight scene that movie.
That just happens in the middle of the movie and apparently just happened in real life.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, but yeah, man, that movie, like I said, I love that movie. JT knows that. That's why he's surprised I didn't say it. I didn't really want to talk about that much. The reason why is because what we're talking now. It gets into this place I don't really want to go. Yeah, it's like a documentary to me.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it at that. But love that film.
So,
absolutely,
and I think that we ought to leave 1988.
I think people on every side of the aisle probably feel that way.
Yeah.
And I think we ought to leave 1988 with an honorable mention of Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
Was Beetlejuice 88 or 87?
It was 88.
All right, hold on. Before we leave, Poltergeist 3, we'll mention these real quick. Poltergeist 3.
Ooh.
Critters 2.
Yep.
Hellraiser 2.
Hellbound Hellraiser 2.
That's right. Waxwork.
I like Waxworks a lot. It's fun.
Brain Damage. Come on. Brain Damage.
With the little leech guy, right? On his back.
Yes.
Yep.
And I don't want to forget one that I like. It's a little, probably, I don't know if any of you guys ever even watched this one, and it's called The Watchers.
Oh, Corey Haim.
With
Corey Haim.
Corey Haim.
And Michael Ironside.
Michael Ironside, yeah.
Yep.
I like
I'm
that.
going to mention, I wanted to mention one I saw not that long ago, The Unholy. With Ned Beatty, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
And how can you forget the lovely and gorgeous Tracy Lords in Not of This Earth?
Not of This Earth is a fun movie. Two more, guys. Two more?
Go ahead.
We'll
Shoot them in there.
Do it.
So, okay, one of them is Uninvited, and this is the movie I was talking about. There's so many different movies called Uninvited. Yeah. Have you guys seen this?
Yes,
I have not.
There's a cat and it's being experimented on in a lab or something, and it gets loose and it gets on this cruise ship, and I don't know what kind of experiments they've done, but it's caused this cat to have this ability that it'll open its mouth up and a second demon cat will fall out of its mouth and run around the ship like a little ghoulie, killing people. At one point it gets into a fight with George Kennedy, who's drunk as a skunk and is throwing empty beer bottles at it, and it's smashing around it as it's trying to terrorize him. But when it's done, it goes back and it jumps back into the bigger cat, and no one can find it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's like a Russian nesting cat.
I ain't seen that one yet. I'm gonna check that
So
one.
that sounds like a VOD roulette film.
Yes. The last movie that I want to mention is, and I guess it's debatable if it's a horror movie, but man, is it weird. Vampire's Kiss with Nicolas Cage. Have you guys seen this movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. Yes, I have.
I was talking to somebody one day and they were like, Nicolas Cage, he just got weirder as he went along. I was like, no. He didn't get weirder as he went along. There was a period of time where he made some semi-mainstream movies. If you look at Vampire's Kiss, he's as weird in that movie as anything he does recently. All the screaming and the stuff that he does in movies like Mandy and stuff like that. He's always been that way. And he does some of his weirdest stuff. There's a point where he's running down the street with plastic vampire teeth and screaming, I'm a vampire. And and then he tries to stab himself in the heart with I'm not anything wrong with it. You just don't see it often. And he's trying to he breaks a piece of an old pallet board off and he's trying to jab it into his chest in the middle of the street. It's a weird
I think I just seen it at Walmart earlier.
Right? Like people of Walmart, yeah. Look at this.
Definitely.
But yeah, that was 88, guys. Ton of movies. It just kept going and going.
So much.
Definitely a few of my top 10 are coming out of that one. I know at least 2 of them for sure. But we're going to move on to 89. So I'll let you kick this one off since you haven't got a chance to talk so much in this one.
So 1989, when I started going through these films, there were a couple films that were kind of interesting to me because it was almost the same film. Oh, no, we've lost Nathan.
We lost Nathan. Why?
Oh, my gosh.
He's muted, too. He said, screw you guys.
Call. Yeah. One by one, they're falling off. I'll be back.
Right. Cool.
So Nathan's got to go potty. And
so we can continue.
Yeah, without him.
Definitely. So one of the weird things that I ran into were there were some movies that I'm going to do a couple of movies in twos because you kind of have to. The first one was another Wes Craven film, and that was Shocker with Mitch Pileggi.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Who was the guy that played him?
Mitch Pileggi. He was from the X-Files. He was Skinner on the X-Files.
Okay.
So you got Shocker, but then that same year you also had another Lance Henriksen movie with
House 3, right?
The Horror Show. In those movies,
AKA House 3.
If you look at those two films, they're almost the exact same film. Killer has been executed, and they come back to life to seek revenge.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Horror Show.
The Horror Show is really good. Both of those movies are great.
Who is in that one? That's Brian
Jansen.
I can't think of his name. Brian James plays the bad guy.
James. And Lance Henriksen.
Yeah. And from Blade Runner. Yep. And it was that's the missing House 3. Everyone talks about how they give some House 1, House 2, and then there's House 4. This was actually House 3. Mm-hmm. It has no connection to those movies. And
just like Halloween.
States as the horror show, but I think it is a good movie. It's not and they're different movies. I like both Shocker.
They are different.
And Mitch Pileggi is a lot of fun in Shocker.
Yeah, definitely. And then the other two that I thought kind of went together, and that was Deep Star 6, which was a Sean S. Cunningham movie who did Friday the 13th. Mm-hmm. And the other film was Leviathan with Peter Weller. almost the same premise, you know.
What year was The Abyss?
Oh,
Same year.
God.
Was that the same
The
year?
Abyss was the same year, wasn't it? In 89? I thought it was 89, or was it
Abyss come
90?
out in 89?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then so did Lords of the Deep.
Lords of the
And
Deep, which I watched this morning.
It was the year of the seafood movies. And then what did you also have? There was one more.
Yeah, The Abyss came out in 89, too. You're right.
Yeah,
With Ed Harris.
Lords of the Deep is the Corman like knockoff
The Corman
version,
cheap version, yeah.
where it looks like hand puppets are, you know, the alien creatures in that
Everybody
one.
was
It's
freaked out
a
by
really
water,
good look,
I
like they.
guess.
Yeah,
Right.
but
There was another one too called. It had two titles. One was called The Rift, and the other was called Endless Descent. And it says 1990, but I think it was actually finished in like 1989, and it was released a little bit later. But yeah, they own a big streak of those movies. I think The Abyss is probably the best one overall.
Oh, yeah.
But in the horror realm, I like Leviathan quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I like Deep Star 6, to be
But
honest.
Deep Star 6 was the cheapest of the three, was it not?
It was.
Of the three.
Of the three, yeah. Lords of the Deep is a different level of cheap.
Yeah,
Different level
you're
of
right, yes.
cheapness.
These three did get theatrical releases, and obviously
It's like
The Abyss had a
Tuesday
lot of money
Morning
sunk
Hooker
into it.
cheap.
Yeah.
Those are not cheap.
The one on Tuesdays, though.
Dude, they better.
They have a Tuesday special.
So go
You know, and when you're old like me, you get the blue light special.
the blue pill special.
No, the blue-haired
There's no way
special.
There's no way I'd ever be able to take a blue pill.
You'd have
Uh,
I would literally stroke out.
Okay. So there's a vampire movie in
anyway.
1989 that there's a couple of vampire movies in 1989 that I actually like that I don't hear a lot of people mention. One of them is To Die For. Did anyone remember To Die For?
To die for.
It's To Die For. It's a lower budget one. It almost has that like Skinamax vibe to it a little bit. You know,
Gotcha.
they're definitely going for the elegant but kind of seductive vampires. It's really a remake of Dracula, more or less.
Gotcha.
And it's got some vibes of Near Dark and things like that. And Vlad Tepes is the character, but now he's in Los Angeles and he's chilling and he's hanging out. And there's a lot of elements that later would trickle down to Buffy the Vampire Slayer and stuff like that. It's a fun 80s vampire movie.
I have not seen it. I'm gonna check it out
To Die For.
because I love I'm a vampire head
Kinda-
too. So
That's a horror romance.
Yeah, it had a sequel too. There's To
horror
Die
movie.
For and To Die For 2. So
Yeah.
anyway,
I'm gonna watch that one because I love
And-
vampire movies.
one I really like that I actually just saw this year, I never seen before. It's a vampire horror western comedy, and it's called Sundown: The Vampire in Retreat, and it has David Carradine and Bruce Campbell in it,
Ooh.
and Harry Dean Stanton, a whole bunch of actors. Emmett Walsh is in it, and Dana Ashbrook. It's got a lot of different people in it.
Damn,
It's a lot
Deborah
of
Foreman's
fun,
on that?
and yes, it's a strange. Yeah, I'm sorry, it wasn't Harry Dean Stanton. It was the other guy. Again, I just said his name. Emmett Walsh from Blood Simple, and it's just a fun cast, and it's a fun movie, and it deals with this town where they've kind of designed this. There's a lot of elements that would show up later in things like True Blood and stuff like that, but they've got this artificial blood making like a factory in the middle of this town, and David Carradine, it almost becomes like a High Noon scenario where Carradine is the vampire who's trying to sort of rehabilitate the vampires and sort of bring them into a place where they can live in safety out in the middle of the West. It's a modern setting. Modern as in it's 89, but a lot of fun and humorous, but you know, overall just a good time, fun. And I think I can't quite remember but I think you could. Oh, this is another one that you could kind of watch with a younger audience for the most part, and it's not over the top. I don't remember a lot of the too questionable material in it. So
Nice.
When you said Emmett Walsh, I always think of Back to School.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Could be Back to School.
So I got one I'm going to mention here, and then It's funny because I actually bought this one in like a 4-pack from Walmart with Serpent and the Rainbow, and that is Clown House.
Clown House, yes.
Clown House.
Yes.
You know, and I waited a long time, or it took a long time for me to find that movie, and I just happened to find it with that one, and there's a couple other ones, but I like Clown House. I love clown movies, of course, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, you know, stuff like that. Clown House is pretty creepy. When I was a kid, it was very creepy.
Yeah. I mean, looking back on it, it's a little silly, but it's a fun watch.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And then another one.
This is the Victor Salva movie, right? Isn't this the one where he molested the kid on the set?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Maybe.
Yeah, this is the movie where
Salva.
he was, with one of the young cast members.
No way. Oh, there it is right there. See, look.
Okay, we're not watching this movie.
Damn it.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah,
I will not watch it.
he later went on to do Jeepers Creepers and all those movies. And
Son of a. Thanks, Nathan.
sorry, I don't like it either, but
I knew
yeah,
this was a bad idea.
Ryan, it's time for
and that
another.
was the last time.
It's time for you to buy another round for the guns.
That's
back in the
right.
shop.
Now I'm going to have to buy a whole nother freaking case of ammo. Damn it. Now, see,
Bill, what you got over there?
wait a minute. Did he do all the Jeepers Creepers or just like number 3? I heard something
No.
about.
No, he did all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, we're done.
Well, that explains the song.
No, let's go ahead. What do you guys got? Let's pop some more.
Okay,
on.
I got 6, but 4 of them are complete schlock, so I'll wait till the end. But the 2 that have artistic merit that you might have heard of, the first one I have is Society.
Yeah.
Society.
And Society is
I remember the cover of that film was.
Yeah.
It's got a really cool. Yeah. See, look.
Yeah, Billy Warlock, our good buddy Billy Warlock is in that. And
Our
it
good
starts
buddy.
out as, people from different ends of the social circle, and they get together, and guys trying to get girls, guys trying to get laid, he's trying to get in her pants, whatever. And they go to a party. And I'm going to leave it at that if you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Soylent Green.
The last 25 minutes, you'll be like, "Ugh, I need to wash my face out,
Yeah.
you'll like that.
Sweet.
The other one is one of the wildest directors, if you've never seen, Jodorowsky. Jodorowsky with El
Santa
Topo.
Sangre.
Santa Sangre.
Oh, I've seen that on on the list.
Santa Sangre, about circus performers and a mother who lost her arms and a weird religion and all the ramifications that Alejandro Jodorowsky can bring to a film.
Sweet.
And if you've never seen Jodorowsky, this is his most linear film, if you can believe that. Look him up. Watch El
crazy.
Topo. Watch A Mountain of the.
You watch a Jodorowsky movie, The Holy Mountain. You watch a Jodorowsky movie not necessarily to see a cohesive story. You watch a Jodorowsky movie to sort of just kind of bask in the vision. He puts images on the screen you'll never ever forget, and some of them are only tangentially tied to themselves. This movie is a horror film, and it does get to even be kind of a slasher film at one point, but some of the weirdest imagery, there's a scene where one of the circus elephants dies, and they put it on they basically have like a giant funeral for it, and they take it, it's a big coffin kind of deal, they take it and they dump it down into the city, and you see all of the inhabitants of the village run out and just start carving it up to get the meat. It's crazy.
Sweet.
This movie made the list of the 500 greatest movies of all time.
Yeah, if you've never seen a Jodorowsky movie,
never seen this.
This is one where this isn't one to put on the background while you're cutting onions for dinner. Like you got to sit and watch.
Pay attention.
This film. Yeah,
Gotcha.
you got to pay attention. But
Bill's bringing the art house right now.
Yeah, I'm bringing the art house. Yeah, I'm the upper crust now. Now I'll get to my sleeves ones after.
Yeah, Redneck Zombies. That's an actual movie.
I know.
I was gonna say, is that like Trailer Park?
Oh, Trailer Park of Terror.
That's a
Park of
great
Terror.
movie.
It's a good one. Trace Atkins is in it.
Yeah,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Hell yeah.
All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and mention some of the top ones so we can, everyone knows them.
So we can get them out of the way.
Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Dream Child.
Yep.
I love all the Nightmares on Elm Streets. Then you got Halloween 5. Like you said, they got to compete. Halloween 5, Revenge of Michael Myers, which I like those as well. Of course, Friday the 13th.
Jason Takes Manhattan.
Jason Takes Manhattan.
That's a decent
That's got a
one.
cool kill scene when he kills the chick with the guitar.
Oh, dude, yeah, she's
Yeah.
down there playing.
But
Yeah.
that's the
Now-
movie. Dave Becker, our good friend Dave Becker, was saying when they originally started out to make this film, the budget was whatever it was, and then they restricted the budget. So
Yes.
a lot of the cheesiness was due to they had to compromise and get it done within the restrictions that they were given.
Yeah.
So this one I'm going to mention, and we're probably going to talk about it, Pet Cemetery.
Yes.
Ooh.
Pet Cemetery, really, really good film. And this is one of the horror films that, man, that scene with Gage, I still to this day
Hard to
will not,
watch.
I won't even let my kids walk near the road. Just the other day, I work for a delivery company, and I was driving down this road, and it's like a highway, kind of like that was, a highway, but runs through a county, and I'm driving, and this girl who's probably 12 is walking with these two little 3-year-olds right next to the road, highway road. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, I creep by, I'm doing 5. But Pet Cemetery, great film.
Yeah.
Everyone, I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't know. You guys can say if you want to say something about it, but I mean, it's
You have to really step around some things because you don't want to give it away.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things you just watch the damn film.
yes.
Yeah.
I think this is still the stronger of the two Pet Cemetery films.
See, and I really
easily.
enjoyed the remake.
I didn't mind it.
I
heard a
didn't
lot of
dislike the remake. I just think this movie's still a stronger movie.
people- Yeah.
Um,
Fred Gwynn.
and a lot of
I mean,
that's-
Fred Gwynn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Yep.
The cats too. I think the cat's pretty mangy looking in the new one, but this cat
Yeah.
is just creepy.
Church.
Oh, yeah. Church.
So I'll mention another one. Those are pretty much, I guess you got Puppet Master as well.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Puppet
That was on the
Master
top of my
here.
list. That was the
Was it
beginning of
really?
the Puppet Master series.
Yeah.
And how
I just bought those.
How many of those are there?
12.
Oh, 12,
12.
yeah.
I just bought the whole.
I saw the
series.
last one about the Nazis. I saw the Nazi one.
Yeah.
There were
I
a
just
lot of
bought 'em.
sequels this year too, because you had
Yes.
in the horror comedy range, you had Ghostbusters 2, which I love Ghostbusters 2. I don't care. I know it's not as good as the first one, but I still like it.
It's still a great movie.
Stepfather 2, which
Oh,
I
yes.
liked Stepfather 2 also.
Yes.
Food of the Gods 2,
Food of the
which
Gods
we've already
2, yeah.
talked about
Yep.
before. But The Fly 2, we just, this
Yeah.
movie's not great, but it's a little bit better than, when you watch it separated from itself from Fly 1, because it's not a whiff on that one. It's not a bad kind of cheesy monster movie. It's all right.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you got Toxic Avenger 2 and 3.
Yeah,
They both come out
they
the
were
same year.
really busy. They were really busy that that year.
The,
That was a trauma.
I was going to say the
deal.
problem is the owner there. What's his name? Lloyd Kaufman.
Lloyd Kaufman, yeah.
He'd already rented the equipment, so
Like,
he
let's
did
get him
both
out.
at the same time.
Yeah, buddy.
Sure.
Don't
yeah.
forget Chud 2, Bud the Chud. That movie's pretty awful. It has
Well,
almost nothing to do with the.
Yeah. Sleepaway Camp 3.
Which part 2 came out in 88, but we didn't really mention that one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
No, but
It was
it's like
funny.
the Howling 5 came out this year. We didn't.
Yep.
Howling 4 was the year before.
Yes, it
Howling
was,
5 is
yeah.
actually kind of decent. It's almost like a Agatha Christie murder mystery. It's like Clue with a werewolf. It's not terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. I actually watched a movie. We talked about it on one of our, or maybe we just talked about it in passing. But a movie called Cutting Class,
Yes.
and it's got Brad
this
Pitt.
year.
Yep, Brad Pitt. I actually just watched this movie literally a fucking week ago.
I haven't seen it in forever.
I just watched it a week ago. It's
When he
you
was
know,
talking about it, I was like, oh, man, I need to check that out.
it's decent. It's definitely Brad Pitt. I don't know how old he was in this movie, but he was young
He
as
was pretty young.
shit
Yeah.
in this movie.
Roddy McDowell,
Yes.
Martin Mull. You know.
Yes.
Martin
it's a
Mull.
fun-
There's a name I haven't heard of in a while.
It's a fun. You'd like it, Bill. I think it's not great, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those. Yeah, it's definitely an '80s movie for sure.
Yeah, they classify it as a black comedy slash.
Yeah.
film.
It's
It's all right.
It almost has a Student Bodies kind of vibe.
Yes.
To it, a little bit.
Yeah, there you go.
We brought up
If I
Student
think of
Bodies in
something-
an earlier episode.
Student Bodies is probably better.
Well, student
Yeah,
bodies
yeah.
is the one where every time there's a kill count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a,
So this year in '89, a movie came out, and it's not when it was only 72 minutes long, but one of the most kind of disturbing and weird, brain burning movies I've ever seen. It's called Begotten.
oh, Begotten.
Oh yeah.
Have you guys seen this?
Yes.
Oh,
I have
We're talking
not.
about, yeah.
It's kind of like an experimental horror movie. I'm not sure it was a student film or not, but this is Elias Mirhej, who did Shadow of the Vampire in 2000. It's
Okay,
a movie
I've seen that.
and this is, to even try to explain what this is it's just so strange. It takes place, it's all in black and white, but it's very strange, desaturated and overexposed in some cases, black and white.
And
And you
it's
have
essentially
this-
a silent film.
It's it's kind of a silent film, and it deals in this kind of mythological world where it looks apocalyptic, but you got this figure who is the credits basically say, "Oh, this is God killing himself," and you see this guy disembowel himself, this figure, and then this woman comes out of his mutilated corpse, and then she arouses the corpse and impregnates herself with God's dead corpse. And then she's pregnant. There's now her kind of weird mutant child with her. And they go on this journey across this battered landscape, and all these horrible, crazy things happen. But there's nothing to ground you or tell you. There's nothing that comes on. There's no joke. There's no moment when anything that feels like a human sentiment enters the movie, and there's no one to pat you on the back and go, "Oh, it's just a film." It's very disconcerting.
Oddly enough, I think I seen that at Walmart earlier too.
And in aisle 5, God disemboweling himself.
Well, I'll tell you one that I seen this movie for the first time, and I watched it probably 6 months ago or so. And it's called My Mom's a Werewolf.
Yes. It's got,
I
John
like that
Saxon.
movie. John
John
Saxon.
Saxon, yeah.
Yeah, that's it was
a fun
pretty
one.
good. It was a fun one. That was a fun one to watch. I was like, oh, okay, this one's actually watchable. So when I first seen the little
Yeah, the whole.
It look, yeah,
in
he
the
looks almost
store
too
when he's getting
campy.
behind.
Like the
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
but it's a good one.
the poster's sort of like a Graduate knockoff, I think, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think you're
Furry
right.
werewolf mom leg or something like that. Prom Night 3, not much to say there. That came out
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
Parents. Parents is a fun
Oh,
movie.
Yes.
Parents.
Dark
Yes.
comedy.
Randy
Bob
Quaid.
Balaban directed it. Yeah. Have you seen that one?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a fun movie. Mileage depends based on whether or not it's a real horror film, but it's definitely a black comedy. Warlock. I love
Warlock.
Yeah,
Warlock.
well, Julie
I was gonna
Andrews.
say
Hands.
let's not forget Warlock. I was gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah, great film.
Warlock is so much fun, and it's kind of a horror comedy. Really, I really
Yeah.
enjoy
Yeah.
the scene when Richard E. Grant. And I love that they got these like kind of high class British actors to do this crazy scene where they're standing in this Mennonite field, and he harpoons him like he's Moby Dick, and like Julian Sands is dragging him through like the potato patch while he's holding on to him with this weather vane. And then later Grant gets on the plane with the weather vane, and the flight attendant says, "We're gonna have to take that." And he's like, "The wench stole the weather vane."
Oh, yeah.
Got any other ones? you
Oh,
wanna
yeah.
mention?
I got all kinds of stuff here. One that I want to bring up that I have not seen in forever, and I forgot that this movie even existed. There's a movie called Hider in the House. It
With Gary
starred
Busey.
Gary Busey.
Oh man,
What
Gary
was
Busey.
cool about this film
Mimi
was,
Rogers.
they when they did the cut scenes back to his childhood, they used his real son Jake Busey for the cut scenes.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because I could see. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, definitely.
And Gary
The
Busey
simple
got.
plot of that story is crazy.
Yeah, that is a crazy. I mean,
Well, the beauty of it is Gary Busey would have got paid twice because he gets the kids' money.
Well, in that one, Gary Busey is literally he's like, "I like this house," and he walls himself up inside of it before the family moves in.
Yeah.
So you get a house that already has Gary Busey living inside of it behind a wall.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
That's horror. That's horror right there.
I love Gary
You can
Busey.
find that in real life now, but it's Randy Quaid behind the wall instead of.
Yeah.
You're sitting in your living room and you hear Buddy Holly break out behind the wall.
Right.
And then here's a cool one that a lot of people probably haven't seen. Probably all of us have seen is the movie Edge of Sanity.
Edge of Sanity
with Anthony
Yes.
Perkins.
That's a good
kind
movie.
of a take on a Jekyll and Hyde story.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Very cool.
I really like Perkins, like latter day, like when he got to play Norman Bates again, and movies like Edge of Sanity, and he did a Stuart Gordon movie, Daughter of Darkness. I liked that latter day Perkins kind of rebirth, if you will.
Because he had come out by then. He was comfortable in his own skin, and
and and he did Watcher in the Woods. Was that what I'm thinking of?
Did he do the remake?
No,
Yes.
Demon in the Window or something like that. Is that
something like that?
Was he?
No,
There's
he
a something
did
in the window.
Sounds like we're
Was he
describing.
Watcher in the Woods?
what was that movie? I thought it was Watcher in the Woods.
He may
Sounds
have
like-
been. That's been years since I've seen much of it.
Sounds like something JT would be doing. Watching in the
No,
window.
it's from the bushes.
Watching from the bushes.
He's watching the. Did I hear you say you're watching the bush? Is that what I?
I'm
Washing.
No, okay.
I'm hiding in the. Oh, I'm sorry. It was In the Deep Woods, is what I was thinking of.
In the deep woods. Okay.
And it was
Okay,
a
so
TV
I
don't know if
movie
I've
that he
seen that
did.
one.
Yeah.
I've got a couple here. The one nobody mentioned. It's not really a horror, but Little Monsters.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
Little
yeah.
Monsters.
I forgot
Fred
about that.
Savage and
The one with
Yes.
Fred Savage.
yeah. Now on Land of the Creeps, not that
Howie
long ago,
Mandel.
we did one with alligators and crocodiles, and Killer Crocodile
Yeah.
came out in 1989. The Italian, and they made a part 2, and it didn't get any better.
Yeah.
You gotta love it.
And one that I saw not that long ago for our Christmas episode, and it's infamous, and it's on YouTube. Elves. Elves with Dan Haggerty.
Yeah.
Man, that's a piece of garbage, but it's so much fun to watch.
Oh, it's a piece of hot garbage. I recently saw one called Paganini Horror.
That's a good movie.
And
that.
and it's an Italian one where with this female rock band that goes and shoots a music video in this house, and things happen.
I'm sold.
But what I like about this film, it's infamous for it, is they had Donald Pleasance, but they dubbed his voice.
That's
Oh
so
my
weird
God.
that they did that.
They dubbed
It's like-
his voice. So
Dave
you're like-
Becker and I reviewed a movie where they dubbed over Peter O'Toole. You're like, why would you do that for these guys?
Yeah,
You
these
know.
guys are classic actors.
Yeah, I mean, he shot him 6 times.
I shot him.
And it's not as if he was at the beginning of his career. By 1989, he was,
Yeah.
he had played Dr. Loomis 5 times, whatever.
Yeah.
And the other one is that the one that's gotten a lot of talk in the last 3 months because of Joe Bob, that I've known forever because it's Canadian, is Things.
Things. Yeah.
Things.
I just watched that last week. And that movie
Yeah.
was
movie's so weird.
It's awful. It's an absolute awful.
God-awful.
Like it's god awful. Shot in like high 8 video, and it's edited crappy. And
Yeah.
in the first 3 minutes, a girl's taking her top off, and you're like, "What's this got to do with Like it's,
That does it. That's what the whole point of the movie.
Yeah. No, you ought to watch that movie. It's bad.
It's a mess. Yeah.
yeah.
Anybody got any other ones that they?
Oh yeah, I've got some
Yeah.
things to schlock through if we're up for it.
Go for it.
So Tim Bartakis, who did The Gate in 87, I think, a movie I love, he did a really cool movie called I, Madman. It's also known
Yes.
as hardcover. You guys seen this movie? It has
Yes.
almost a Nightmare on Elm Street-esque vibe to it.
Yeah.
You can't tell where reality and dreams sort of mesh together,
Uh-huh.
and it's kind of pulp horror stories.
That's the one about the writer.
Yeah,
Yes,
and it's a lot of fun. It's got some cool stop motion. Only movie I know that has a jackal boy in it. But
Yeah.
what else do we have here? There's a really kind of nutty movie with James Hong in it called The Vineyard. That's in fact I just saw on his list of guilty pleasures. I saw that I don't know if he posted it, but Dave Becker made a mention that this would have probably been on it, but he had just posted the review. It's called The Vineyard. It's a really weird movie. And of course, most of us know James Hong from like Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
He played Lopan, David Lopan. So this movie's really weird. And it's worth checking out though. It's a very weird, strange, goofy horror movie, but it's a lot of fun. And then there's also there's a movie I saw once, and it's on YouTube. I need to sit down and check it out again. It's a movie I know for a fact, just in my memory of it, I can sit down and probably watch this one with the kids. It's called The Cellar, and it involves this family. They move to this house that's built sort of on the classic Indian burial ground kind of tribal area. Yeah. And there's a monster down living under the ground in the cellar. I don't know if you guys remember this one.
Yes.
But it's a fun movie. My memories, it's a fun movie. I haven't probably seen it since like 89 or 90.
I want to say,
but I remember enjoying it.
I think they remade this movie.
Did they?
Yeah, they did a version of this in Family Guy.
I got some popsicles in the basement.
This is a fun monster movie. Do you remember the Curse series? Curse 2 came out this year. Curse series was probably the most disconnected horror series because it was literally 4 or 5 different movies made in different years, released willy-nilly, and they were literally made completely separate of themselves. And then just somebody said, let's call this one Curse 1. Let's call this one Curse 2. Curse 1 is really The Color Out of Space, and it was directed by David Keith, and it was released in with Will Wheaton and whatnot back in 87. And but Curse 2 is a Snake Man movie. It involves a guy who's bitten by a radioactive snake, turns into a snake man, and at one point, I believe, vomits all of his internal organs over his girlfriend's car. These things happen.
Sounds like Saturday night, baby.
Yeah. Boom. That's when things get wild. But there was one other one. Oh, the last one I want to mention that to me is really like worthwhile, notable. And it was actually a British TV movie, but it was the first movie adaptation of The Woman in Black, which is the same movie that later, it's the one that was done in 2012 and it had Daniel Radcliffe in it. And I like that movie, but this one's way creepier. It's very sort of nondescript. It's done in such a way that it feels sort of it's kind of underproduced, and it just makes it creepier. It's a lot of implied things, but the haunting feel is there. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, that one was on my list too, along with Hell High.
Hell High! Oh
yeah, baby. That was a good one. Fun one.
That one I found on YouTube. You can find that.
You can find a lot of cool stuff on YouTube, man.
Let's not forget the supermarket slasher movie, The Intruder.
Yeah, you got that.
Was that 89?
Got that on my list.
Yes.
Yeah. I've got one. I've got a couple still left. The Church. Michael Sauvé.
The Church is a cool
church
movie.
Is on top of what did they call it? Like a 12th century burial ground or something, and spirits are trapped underneath the church. It's got Dario Argento, I think, wrote it. Wrote part of it.
All that weird Italian kind of supernatural horror stuff. It definitely has an Argento.
And the last one of any note that there's 2. It's a sci-fi movie, but our good friend Stuart Gordon put out Robot Jocks in 1989.
That is fun.
That's a
fun.
sci-fi.
It's like a Pacific Rim before there was Pacific Rim. If you were a kid in the 90s, I mean, it's they get into these giant robotic mechs and have fights to decide who wins the world wars. The way it should be, So it's America versus Russia.
And the last one I want to mention is if you like your extreme German films, Violent Shit came out in 1989.
Violent Shit.
That happened earlier today.
I had that this morning.
That's after Taco Bell.
Hey, honey, come on here, check this out.
I think they made a sequel. There was a Violent Shit too. And I think they reprise it, and if you know the German extreme stuff,
reruns,
Bravo, sir, bravo.
The Germans had
Nathan gets the prize for tonight.
the Germans had like Necromantique and Necromantique 2 and all the Olaf Ittenbach films, Premutos and Burning Moon and all that. It follows in that. So give a good look to violent shit and see what comes out.
Yes.
Don't look, just flush.
I'm going to throw this out there. This is a Roger Corman film, The Terror Within.
The Terror.
We reviewed that one.
Did you guys?
Yeah.
Nice.
On the roulette early on, I think.
Yeah. George Kennedy.
George Kennedy, Andrew Stevens.
Yeah.
All the greats.
Yeah. What can you say about this movie? I mean, it's kind of up your alley. It's like post-apocalyptic kind of, there's these mutants running around. And
it's got a little bit of Alien to it, a little bit of Cloverfield. Like it's got a little bit of
everything in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean,
kind of a cool film. I got one that I want to bring up.
No.
That I have never seen. So I really can't talk about this, but I'm kind of hoping that you guys have seen this. There was a movie called After Midnight.
Yeah.
And it had the Marge Helgenberg that was on CSI forever. It is like an anthology movie.
Is that based on the Stephen King book?
No, it's not.
No?
After Midnight was four novellas of King's. That was I want to say released later. That's not related to this.
Okay.
This has I think 3 stories and then a wraparound.
Yeah.
Kind of story. I have a very kind of vague memory of it. My memory of it is it's not bad.
I have never seen this, but I watched the trailer for it earlier, and I'm like, oh my god, I need to find this movie.
It's fun.
It just looks interesting to me.
I just saw one looking that one up from '89 called The Dead Pit.
The Dead Pit. I've got that on my list.
That's a Brett Leonard movie. Brett Leonard went on. He didn't do a lot of great movies, but he did Virtuosity and a movie I like, Hideaway, with Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
It was based off of the what was it? The Dean Koontz novel. But
Dead Pit.
I haven't seen that one. I'm going to check to see if it's on Tubi.
Yeah. I remember they had
It is. It's on Tubi.
Back in the day when video stores were still around, they had the coolest cover on the VHS tape. It had the demon zombie thing or whatever climbing out of a pit. But what was cool is there was a little button on the bottom of the thing that said push here, and when you would push it, its eyes would flash.
Yeah. That's one of. I should jump back then. I think it was in '88. The movie I forgot to mention, Black Roses, which is now on.
Yes.
Oh, the heavy
Shudder.
metal. The heavy metal.
Yeah, the heavy metal
film.
demon movie. It's fun, but that also had one of those covers that was like so elaborate. You felt like they spent all the money on the box art. Like it had the demon hands holding the. You guys ever see a movie? Real messed up movie. It's a French film and it's a horror film and it's called Baxter. And it's
I have not seen that. I saw it in the list.
But he's a pit bull terrier, and he kind of narrates the movie, and he ends up he's basically almost like a he seems like he's a serial killer in dog form almost. But then what happens is he ends up with this little boy as his owner. But this kid is a Hitler enthusiast, and he just really wants to emulate Adolf Hitler, and he and the dog are kind of coming to this. Both of them are crazy, and both of them are sort of moving towards this confrontation. It's a dark, messed up movie, and it has a very strange sensibility to it. It's not like a normal. I wouldn't really recommend this unless you're ready for something that's pretty twisted. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it, but for people who like the kind of stronger content. Not necessarily that this is super gory or anything like that. It's just very messed up. It leaves you with a bad feeling.
Yeah.
That kind of leaves me with a bad feeling of doing what we got to do next, which is A, in the podcast in, but B, this episode, but put up our top 10.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing a top 10 episode after this. Not necessarily tonight, but our next episode is going to be our top 10.
Yeah, it's going
and
to be tough.
man, there is just so much.
So many great films. I mean,
This one's going to be hard to do.
you know,
but
80s has always been considered the decade of horror, and
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, but I mean, you could do it. You could do a top 20 just on slashers.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know,
Easily.
man. It's
Easily.
so we challenged ourselves to put our top 10, which we probably will have a lot of the same movies on our list, I'm sure.
I'll probably only be able to come up with 5.
Yeah. But have you guys done your top 10s of the 80s or anything like that? Or
Have I done? Not completely. You know, I've done it in the past. It's been a bit, but yeah, I think it gets hard because that period of time there, when you look at like the even the first 5 years of the decade, you can get easily a top 10. You can almost get a top 10 out of 1982 to 1983. You know what I mean?
yeah, we did.
And,
Yeah.
or 84.
You know what?
And,
I did a list a while back. A horror movie podcast did their breakdowns too, and I published it. And I have to go back and find it.
I did the same. That's probably when I would have done it. Yeah.
Depending upon the day, you know, the thing might be 2, the thing might be 4. You know, like.
But you have how many you can make almost a Carpenter's list of movies, right? Like from the 80s.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Carpenter has so
Absolutely.
many great films, and oh my gosh, The Shining and The Evil Deads and Alien and
It's going to be hard.
all.
But we're gonna
it's
do
gonna
it.
be- Yeah, Fright Night.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a hard one, but we'll get it done. You
And
know,
we're going
it's-
to record that tonight.
Yeah, no, we're not. I got a lot of thinking. I got a lot of thinking to do on this one. But we really do want to thank you guys for coming on and having this
Oh, yeah. It was
good
fun,
time
man.
with us.
It was fun.
Yeah, we'll get
It's
you
always
back.
a blast, guys.
We'll get you guys back
Thanks.
on Phantom Galaxy sometime soon.
Oh yeah,
Nice,
for sure,
nice.
for sure.
You guys had brought up Buckaroo Banzai.
Yes.
Yes.
I had that idea. I have not watched that movie all the way through since probably the early 90s, maybe. And
I think mine's been longer than that. It's been a long time.
And I was glancing across the. Go ahead.
it popped into my head. I was like, man, that would be a fun episode to do with Nathan and Bill.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was glancing over my the shelf that is my Criterion movies on today, and I saw Repo Man on there, and I thought, man, can you imagine a double feature?
The genetic opera?
No, not Repo the Genetic Opera. This is Repo Man with Emilio Estevez from the 1980s.
Yeah.
The Alex Cox movie where they're driving around with a car that may or may not have an alien body in the trunk, and Harry Dean Stan's in it. That's we should do a double feature of you Buckaroo Banzai and Repo Man, and our heads will explode.
Hell yeah.
We can do it. We can do it.
Guys,
Yeah.
why don't you let everybody know where they can find you? I know you're on a million podcasts, but give them all your info you want them to know.
Go ahead, Nathan. Take her away.
Okay, well, I'm on the Phantom Galaxy podcast, and Bill is my co-host over there. You can find us at phantomgalaxy@podbean.com. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. And we're coming up on the 1 year since we kind of resurrected the podcast and Bill became my co-host. We're going to have an anniversary episode. We're going to have a bunch of different guests on there. It's going to be a lot of fun. We keep saying it's basically going to be like the Phantom Galaxy version of one of those like PBS telethons, except we won't be asking for your money. You don't have to.
And Jerry Lewis isn't going to show up.
No,
Can we
no,
ask
not
you for
Jerry
money?
Lewis, but if you come on, you probably
mine
will.
stops at the border. Mine stops.
There you go. You don't want that Canadian money anyway. But so yeah, you can find us over there, and you can find Bill about 1,010 other places as well.
Yeah. Find me at Land of the Creeps and with Nathan at Phantom Galaxy, and anyone else with a podcast that's reputable and has a microphone, I'm good for.
Oh, yeah.
You can take
Don't
out the
forget,
reputable part. Just
don't forget about
as a
Strange
microphone.
Frequencies, too.
Oh, Strange Frequencies is on it, and these two handsome young gentlemen were with us about a month ago, and so that will be on pretty darn soon. And the Illustrated Fan with Dave Becker and Nathan, where they go over anime and animated films. And I know they just recorded one not that long ago, so there will be one coming out sometime.
Right, all these are under the Phantom Galaxy banner. We're eventually going to have to become a network, right? We're less a podcast and a network of we've called ourselves the Russian nesting doll of podcasts. It's sort of like there's this one in there, and oh look, there's another one, and one more.
That's awesome, guys, man. That's awesome.
So,
We appreciate you so much. Our fans love you. We love you guys. All right, guys, that's the 88, 89. Our next episode is going to be our top 10.
And your homework is to watch violent shit.
Yeah. We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
I'm
All
excited
right,
to watch some of these movies I haven't seen in years. Just talking about them, like I'm primed for Pumpkinhead and Shocker. I want to go back and watch Shocker.
All right, guys, that's it for this episode. We love you guys. Thanks for your support, Horror Fam. And as always, until next time, keep it creepy.